Alright, so this is a response to messages I've been receiving, people criticizing me about claiming to be, you know, one of the best in the world, or that I could, potentially beat, some of the best MMA fighters in the world, or martial artists in the world. I'm not saying that out of arrogance. I'm basically saying that the way that I view it is that real martial artists, they don't need to hurt each other in order to figure out who's more proficient in what. The way that I see it, there's a safe way to spar where you can really determine who is more proficient. There is a safe way to do it. It's just that the people, they have their fame, their reputation on the line, and when other people are watching, there's too much pressure on them, and then they make it unsafe because they feel like they have to prove something to themselves or to other people. But if it's in a private room and you got two martial artists that they may be friends, like Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee, or Chuck Norris and Danny Asano, or Bruce Lee and Danny Asano, martial artists that are friends, and when they spar together in private, you pretty much know who's more proficient, who's not. There doesn't even have to be any bloodshed. And that's something that, and it changes. It's not just like a one-time thing and that's it. I feel that I could beat pretty much any person out there that's my size or lower in weight. I could destroy anybody. Now, if they come to me and we spar, we could do it in a safe way and they could prove me otherwise. But until then, I still feel that I could overtake anybody. And if they did prove me otherwise, it'd be a learning experience for me. And then what I do is I keep learning, and then I end up getting better, and then I overtake the person. And then they learn, and then they learn from me, and then it just keeps going back and forth, just like a chess game. See, when chess masters play, you don't just play one game. You might play 100 games, and out of 100, you won 70 of them, so you're better. You have a better win ratio. And that's how I see that the real gauge to see who's better, that's how it's supposed to be. You don't just fight one time. You might spar, and the first time you don't do too well, maybe you just didn't have a good day. You get back right to it and you do it again. And you keep doing it over and over again, and then the ratio of who's the one who's doing better at a better percentage is the person who is better. Like you spar 50 times and 40 times you do better, then you're better. But sometimes you might, 40 times you might do better 25 times. That guy got pretty close, so next time around, you might be losing it. Your fitness might not be up to the level of where it used to be, and then this other guy's overtaking you, or he's just learning certain tactics that, he's learning the tricks of what you're doing, and then he's overtaking you. And you got to learn to counter, you got to come up with something new and learn to counter. You learn his fighting, learn to his rhythm, and then basically find his weaknesses and direct and basically exploit those weaknesses. And it might take a while before you find those weaknesses. You might have to fight him. You might have to spar with him 5 times before you figure out the weaknesses. And once you figure out the weaknesses, then you just keep exploiting it and exploiting it to the point where he can't even win anymore. Until you force him to work on his weaknesses, and then now he works on it, and then now it gets back to more of an even playing field. The way that I see it is like you can't really predict it. I can't say that I can win every time or that the other person can win every time, but I feel confidence in myself to know that if I had to engage, I could win. And I would win. But it's not a guarantee, but that's how I feel. I would win because I have the science down, I have the athleticism, I have the intelligence and the understanding and the strategy to win. It's like I have a gun, they have a gun. And I feel that I could shoot him first before he shoots me. Every single time. But if we keep doing it over and over again, there's going to be times when he's going to shoot me before I shoot him. But for the majority of the time, the win ratio, I feel that I would be on top. So if we fought 100 times, I feel that I may win 70 of them, 80 of them, 90 of them. Not saying that I win all 100. Just like a chess master, he might he might lose 20 games, but he wins 80. And if the guy's really good, then he might win 60, but he still is on top, the ratio. You know, and that's how I feel, like, honestly, about my abilities. You know, and it's not even about the individual anymore. The method of real martial arts is clearly more effective than MMA, because real martial arts is not bound by any of these rules and regulations. So meaning, if I spar with people from MMA and they came into, you know, into my kun and they spar with me, they'd be going under my rules, not the MMA rules, but my rules, which is basically more real to life. And then they'll see the limitations of what they train in and how it doesn't work. And then my way of approaching the combative situation in the sparring is a lot safer. It's a lot safer, more effective, and basically it's what's real. So my way of sparring is a lot higher level and is safer, and it'll clearly indicate who is more talented than the other, that who is more talented than who. But it's not for entertainment. It's not for crowds of people to watch. It's not to make money. This is just the science behind it, and this is how you spar in order to keep it safe and at the same time determine who is better than who. With all the money aside, with all the pride and ego, without all the people watching, this is the way that you determine it, and it's a safe and effective way to determine it. It may hurt your ego, and it will, but the fact of the matter is, this is what you need to work on. So I mean, you could break it down. I mean, break it down easy. You know, like, you think you're better at wrestling somebody, then just wrestle them. Just stick to the wrestling rules. If you can't beat them the wrestling rules, then you need to work on that. He overdid you on that. If you wanted to, you could stick to the boxing rules and just see who wins in the boxing range. And then that person won, hey, you know, then you got to work in your boxing. You know, like, you could break it all down if you wanted to. Just like you never worked with swords before, but this person's been working with swords for like 5 years. You put a sword in his hand, you put a sword in your hand, he demolishes you in that range. You can't even do nothing. That clearly shows that you need to work on that. Now, there's going to be a weakness for everybody. You know, some people, you know, they're really weak with their hands, and then you exploit that. Some people are really weak with their legs, and you exploit that. Some people are really weak on the ground, you exploit that. But the ground fighters need to understand that in real ground fighting, you're not bound by all those rules in the cage. And most of all the stuff that they try to do to you would not even work if you integrate the reality of reality-based combat. And there's no need for me to try to prove myself to anybody, because I don't care to. I'm not looking for competition fighters to teach, or anybody that's so focused on the combative and that's all I care about. I know what I know works, you know, and I don't need to hurt myself or hurt other people to indicate that, you know. And another thing is, I train smart and intelligent. I don't end up in the hospital. I don't break any bones. I train smart, and because I train intelligent and smart, that's why I'm better. Because I don't need to break my nose or break somebody else's nose in order to know what I need to work on. So basically, if you learn the art of perfecting, say you're perfect with the wooden sword, you never get sliced, and you win every single time. It's not a real sword, but I guarantee you, once you put a real sword in your hands, you're going to be the top person, the top swordsman. So what I'm basically saying is that, like, you don't need to play with real guns in order to train in gunfighting. You train with something like airsoft, and you get really good at it. Just put the real gun in replacement, you're on top of the game. That's a smart way to train. So basically, when I'm sparring with somebody, they don't actually have to hit me hard in order for me to learn how to move better. Once they learn how to move better, they can hit as hard as they want, but they're not going to make contact because I moved before they even came close to hitting me. Because I learned how to move out of the way. I learned how to move right. I learned how to read them. And they can't touch me. They can try to strike as hard as they want, but they're going to be striking air. They're going to be missing. You know, they may catch me every now and then, but you know what? Majority of the time, I'm going to get them more. Because I had the strategy down, I got the intelligence, I got the smarts. And because I don't unnecessarily engage myself in destructive behavior, I'm going to live longer, I'm going to last longer, and I'm going to be better. I'm going to be more precise in what I do. So these competition fighters, after the fight, they're all bruised up and bloodied up. Well, why don't you have them fight the next day? Oh, they can't. They need to recover, right? They need a month or 3 months, 6 months to recover. That's not what real martial arts is. Real martial arts, you need to prepare every single day. You don't know which day is going to come when you're going to fight for your life. So how are they supposed to be the best in the world when they're only on the top of the game a few times in a year? You're supposed to be on the top of your game every single day of your life. So I'm ready to fight every single day of my life. I don't just like prepare for one day and then one day I'm the top of my game and then the whole rest of the year I'm just like a piece of shit ready to get my ass beat. So have some of these fighters, oh, they think they're at the top of the game, give them the flu. Now they get the flu, they get STDs, they get all types of diseases. They're always sick and shit, and then they get their ass beat whenever they're sick because they're all weak. Well, a real martial artist is always healthy, and he's always ready to fight if he needs to fight. And basically, I don't need to get hit hard in order to know, in order to learn. And I don't need to get hit hard in order to know that attacks that come at me are lethal. So I take every attack very seriously. And the way that I see it, real fighting and real martial arts, it's like fencing, it's like sword fighting, and that's why Bruce Lee studied fencing so much before he died. It's like fencing, it's like sword fighting, it's like gun fighting. There's no room for mistakes. And if you ever do sword fighting, you ever see fencing, two fencers, they're going to have to reset. Maybe, you know, you watch the Olympics. Like, the way they judge who's better than who is the person who has the better win ratio. So say they had 50 fights. After one stab gets in, that person wins 1. This person gets stabbed in 1-1. This person gets stabbed in 2-1. This person gets stabbed in 2-2. This person stab, 10-2. Stab, 32. Stab, 42. Stab, 52. Who's better? The guy that got 50 stabs and this guy only got 2. That's who better. But MMA is like this. Alright, just one time, and then this guy just gets lucky. Stab him one time, boom. Oh, this is the winner. When in actuality, if they kept going at it, and they kept resetting, this is the real winner. He's got a 50-2 ratio. This guy's got a lucky ass stab. It just so happens he got it the first time. So, real martial arts is not based on luck. Real martial arts is just your true talent and skill day after day after day after day. It's not just like, oh, you can win one time because you're lucky. You know, and a real martial artist doesn't seek to put himself in danger. He'll spar with a bunch of people. He'll spar with a lot of people. And that's his practice. And you think all these MMA fighters, you think they don't spar? They spar to prepare for that violent encounter that you see on TV. But they don't let you see the sparring because they don't want to jeopardize their ego that way and their pride. They don't want you to see the sparring, but the sparring is the real way that you get better. Not the shit that you see in the cage that for entertainment. The sparring is the way you really get better. But they don't want you to see that because they don't want you to potentially basically underestimate their ability. Because there's good days in sparring, there's bad days. Some days you do well, some days you don't do well. But what's the overall picture? How good are you overall? And people that think that you need to get hurt in order to learn, they're freaking stupid. They're dumb. And that's why they're not any good. It's like I don't need to get in a car crash to understand how to drive better. The more car crashes I get into, the more that it shows that I don't know how to freaking drive. So the more you spar and the more hurt that you get, every time you get hurt, it just shows you don't know what the hell you're doing. You're garbage. And if you're hurting somebody else in sparring, that shows your lack of control. You don't need to hurt somebody in order to help them learn. A punch in the face or a slap in the face, you can learn just as much from either one. Fact of the matter is, there was contact. You got slapped, you got punched, what the hell happened? So, for example, you guys doing all this sparring, hitting as hard as you can with your fists and feet, okay. So then why don't you go ahead and do the same type of training with sticks and hit as hard as you can with the stick? Why don't you do that? Or why don't you play with some real swords? So you're telling me, okay, let's spar with real swords for real, and then let's just die because we made a mistake? You don't need to die in order to learn. You could still learn without getting hurt significantly. So I spar so much to the point where I know what I could do. There's no self-consciousness or like insecurity to feel that I don't know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And I know that I'm capable. And I have high confidence to know that I could pretty much beat anybody my size or lighter than me. I could beat anybody. When it comes to consistency. Yeah, if we meet one time and we only have one chance to fight and that's it and there's nothing more, yeah, there's a chance the other person will win. Just like a gunfight. I might have a gun, I might know how to be really good at it, but doesn't necessarily mean I'm guaranteed to win that one time. But I bet you, if we keep fighting, keep sparring day after day after day, I'll be the one that wins overall. Because the way I learn and how quick I learn and the way that I analyze the combative situation, I'll figure that person out. I'll figure him out, and then I'll find the way to beat him. I don't even need to touch the person. All I got to do is analyze his way of combat, and then I'll figure him out, and then I'm going to beat him. And that's all what the great boxers did. They'd constantly watch footage of their opponents over and over again so they could figure out the way that the person fights before they fight him. And once they figure him out, then it's done. Then you got him. And real fighting, real martial arts training, you could spar as much as you want. There's no, there's no more sparring after this. That's it. No. The competition fighting, you only get one chance against the person and then that's it. No. In real martial arts training, you can spar against them whenever you want, as often as you want. And that makes your improvement endless. But in competition fighting, you got two people that are against each other and they don't want to share each other's secrets. They want to hide each other's secrets from each other so then they have an edge. But in real martial arts training, you let it all out and you basically constantly play over and over again, and that's how you get better. So for example, you may have a chess master who may be the best, but he keeps playing his opponents, and then as his opponents are losing, his opponents are getting better. Because they're the ones who's losing all the time. They keep getting better and better and better to the point they end up beating the chess master, and now the chess master can't beat him anymore. And that's how real martial arts training is. You constantly spar to the point where you end up getting better and better and better. And then it ends up almost being pretty much like a draw every single time. Because you got two people that are highly skilled and they're both not backing down. And then it just becomes a draw. A draw, or it's just like very even. You fight 100 times, he wins 50, you win 50. You fight another 100 times, he wins 51, you win 49. You fight another 100 times, you win 55, he wins 45. You fight another 100 times, and then he wins more, and then you lose. You know, it's just like endless. So the way of the mentality of a real martial artist is he's preparing for everyday combat. Competition fighters are just preparing for one glorified event. And then after that, they're so beat up to the point where they can barely move the next day or the next month or the next few months. They're all messed up. So these people are making comments saying, oh, you know, competition fighters are constantly fighting over and over again. And that's exactly why they're not as proficient as the real martial arts. Real martial arts are training safe, and they're constantly prepared for the reality-based combat when it comes. Competition fighter is destroying his body so much to the point where he ends up maybe just dying early. Or, you know, his body's all messed up and then people just overtake him. And because they caught him by surprise. So, there's no longevity in a competition fighter. He's been hit in the head so many times that his health is all jacked up. And then as he ages, he turns 40 and 50, anybody can beat him up. Anybody. An average person on the street beats up a 50-year-old competition fighter because his body is all jacked up from all the damage that he's been through. A real martial artist, shit, you know, he might be 60 years old, but he can still take out a bunch of people because he's very healthy still. He's 60 years old, but he looks like he's still 30. And he moves like he's still 30 years old. He's constantly on the top of his game, ready to survive in any situation. Competition fighter puts himself through brutality over and over again to the point where he can't take it anymore. His body can't take it anymore. It's the intelligence behind the training that makes the difference. Competition fighting and putting yourself in that dangerous situation over and over again is not an intelligent way to train. I mean, a lot of these times, I mean, somebody gets one good hit in. That's all it was. And then all you had to do is just learn how not to let that happen again. You don't need to suffer like a concussion or a broken nose or like a missing eye socket just because you made one mistake. The person that's throwing the punch could, boom, like save you from that mistake. Be like, you know what? You got to move better than that because I got you hard. And then you got to take that serious and you got to learn from that. And that's how you get better. So, an intelligent martial artist learns without even having to be hurt. An unintelligent competition fighter, they need to be hurt in order to learn. And they might not even learn. Just because they got hit hard and they landed in a hospital, they still might not even learn. They're just too dumb. They keep making the same mistakes over and over again. That's how dumb people are. That's how these competition fighters are. They need to get beat down in order to learn. So trying to educate the public about real martial arts, it's very difficult because you're talking about a group of people or just a community of people that are just very, very unintelligent. They're just extremely unintelligent. They just don't understand. They just do not understand. I'll put it like this. Say there's flag football, which is like a safe way of getting better, and then there's the real football where you tackle and you brutalize each other. If you're playing flag football and you're in the top of your game, nobody can even get you. They don't even gotta tackle you. All they gotta do is just grab the flag, but they can't even grab the flag because you're just so damn fast. You're so damn good. Then you just transfer those skills into the real football, and then you're really then really nobody can touch you, because it's even harder to tackle somebody than it is to grab that flag. And that's what I'm saying. I have the method of real sparring, safe sparring, that works. It's a very effective way to train yourself to get a very high level without jeopardizing your health and safety and putting it at high risk in order to learn. That real football, that's like the real fighting. I don't want that to happen, but if it does happen, I'm prepared for it. I know I am. Because I've been training so many goddamn years to be prepared for it. I know I'm prepared for it. I know I can do it. Whether or not these people out there think so, I don't give a fuck. Because I don't need to prove nothing to anybody. But the fact of the matter is, people don't know how much I train off camera when it comes to sparring and stuff like that. People don't know. But it's not even about that. The theory, I mean, the idea behind it, the theory behind it is the way. And if you don't understand that, you're too dumb to understand that, that's you. You're just too stupid. Just look at how police officers train. Look at how the military people train. Look at how the samurai train. They don't train with real swords. Real swords is for real war. They train with the wooden swords. The wooden swords prepare them for the real war. The police officers don't train with real guns, only when they're in the firing range. But when it comes to like simulation, they train with airsoft pistols. Simulated way of developing themselves so they could engage in real war. So basically, what you see in the cage is not even real fighting. That's just basically unintelligent sparring. That's not even the real fighting. The real fighting happens on the streets. And you still haven't seen that in the cage, because that's not the real. In the cage is just like a very unintelligent way to spar, or to fight, or to train to better yourself in combat. It's a very unintelligent and stupid way. And you don't see like this in any of these competition fights, which is ridiculous. But the people should be allowed to continue to fight as long as they want to. Like, say one person gets knocked out or knocked down, and then the person goes and grounds and pounds. Okay, he won for that time. But the person that got ground and pound, he's like, you know what? Give me 5 minutes, give me 10 minutes, let me try it again. Let's do it again. Let's not end it right there, let's do it again. And then they go at it again. And then so on and so forth, and they just keep going at it until one of them decides that, you know what, that's it. Like, the crowd doesn't need to decide. The ref doesn't need to decide. Nobody else needs to decide but the people that are in there to say, you know what, let's just keep going at it. Alright, you got me. You pinned me. You ground and pounded me. You got the joint lock on me. Alright, you got it. You won that. Alright, let's give me some time, give me 5 minutes, let's do it again. Let's see who could do it. Let's see if you can do it again. And just keep going at it. Like playing poker or something. Or playing chess. or playing Monopoly. Like, to do as many times you want, to the point where the guy you fought 100 times and he beat you 99 times, and then you're just like, you know what? You're better than me, man. Just fuck it, man. I got nothing on you, man. That's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be based off of luck, and then you only have one time to fight and that's it. No. Real talent, real skill, you should be able to do that shit over and over and over again. Not just one time. Like a lucky shot. No. Like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, constantly, shot after shot, they keep making it. You know, like the constant, consistent performance. I mean, they're playing 81 games in a whole year. They got consistency in their game. So, it should not just be one fight, 10 fights, 50 fights. No, let's fight 500 times in a safe way and see who really is the best. And then things change. You know, in the year 2000, you're top of the game. When 2005 comes around, you stop training. Now you're a fat piece of shit and you lose everything. So, I mean, time changes as well.